Here are my thoughts on Euphoria Season 3, Episode 4. Spoilers ahead. So this episode is, I would say, largely focused on Rue and her story between Alamo and Lori, and her now having to be an informant for the police to avoid going to jail. We're halfway through the season now, and I'm trying to look at this episode as the midpoint for everyone's journey. In terms of just the midpoint of her journey, it's in a pretty exciting spot, and you're very curious to see where she goes from here, given what happens in this episode and what her status is. Also in this episode, we get a lot more of Lexi, which I love. Lexi is one of my favorite characters. I just love her so much. And we get to see more of her life as a studio hand in Hollywood. She ends up making the wrong call, and her boss gets really mad at her. You know, we haven't seen a ton of Lexi so far. In terms of Lexi's journey, she has this job that she's really excited to have, and she doesn't want to screw it up, and I think it's a great place for her to be in, and then she fucks up, and then she gets this whole talking to about how she cost the studio $100,000 or something like that. I'm not gonna lie, that was a good scene, but since we haven't seen a ton of her this season so far, I feel like it didn't hit as hard as it could have. So as far as what we see of Lexi this episode, it's good, but it just left me wanting more of her. Maddie and Cassie are a big point this episode, and their relationship, as Maddie is kind of managing Cassie and trying to build up her online following with OnlyFans and all that. You know, we see Maddie take her to this house party where she's supposed to meet this guy and get his attention because it would be good for her brand and all that. I mean, Cassie's whole journey is just kind of upsetting, but that doesn't mean it's poorly executed. I think they're doing a pretty good job following this character as she's doing what she would naturally be doing to try and get enough money to fix things. And with Maddie's help, I think that's a really interesting dynamic between the two of them. We don't get a ton of Nate this episode. It's just not going well for him. And I'm honestly shocked at how bad I feel for Nate Jacobs. In the previous episode, he's just seen the very serious consequences of his actions. And in this episode, he's trying to put the pieces back together, but he just cannot. He's at rock bottom. With this episode being his midpoint, I hope his story goes somewhere interesting from here, because I honestly have no clue where it could go. So overall, I liked this episode. I think Rue's story is in a good spot. I'm excited to see where that goes. The dynamic between Cassie and Maddie continues to be really interesting, and I kind of like where they're taking that. And I want more of Lexi. That's my takeaway. I want more of Lexi.